Hello and welcome once again to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne and today we're going to be making sausage rolls. They're perfect for when you have kids on a day off of school or just a weekend and they're hungry. You just want to make something for somebody to come over. It's a fairly easy recipe, and the first thing that we're going to want to start out with is we're going to take celery and we're going to take onion. And I'm using, this is half of a large onion, but you really want about a small medium onion. And all we're going to do is we're going to mince this up so it's nice and small because we don't want really big pieces for this. So it doesn't matter how you chop it. We're just going to chop this all up. You can start any way you want. If you want to use a food processor, you can even use that. But all we're going to do is we're just going to get this all nice minced up. And all we're going to do is you're going to make these nice small. We're going to end up cooking these with the celery. So we just want to make sure we have nice small pieces. Nothing really big. And like I said, if you have a food processor, you can use that or just do it by hand. But we're going to get this all nice and cut up. And once we get this minced, we're going to do the same thing with the celery. And we're going to take bacon. And we're just going to take our bacon, and now I'm using a smoked bacon. This has not been cured, this is just smoked. And all we're going to do is the same thing. I'm just going to cut this up nice and small. Because all we want to do, we want all these pieces to be about the same size. Now they're not going to be perfect, obviously. This is what's going to make a big difference when it comes to your sausage rolls. There's a lot of recipes out there for this. This is what makes a difference. So now we have that. Let me take what's left of our celery. We're going to do the same thing. And like I said, they don't have to be like minuscule pieces, but we want these minced up. Now we have everything chopped up. We got our pan out. We're heating our pan up. What we're going to do is we're going to take about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to put that right in our pan. And we're going to take our onions and our celery that we just chopped up. And we're going to put that in. And we're going to cook this for about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And we're going to take garlic that we had that we minced up. And again, I'm going to have all the ingredients written in the description. We want to get these a little bit tender before we actually add everything together. So we're just going to let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes just to get these nice and tender. And once we get these nice and soft, then we're going to add our bacon. And we're going to cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes because we don't want to make this bacon crispy. We just want to get it cooked a little bit through, get some flavor in here, and then we're going to let this cool down, and then we're going to add it to everything else. Now that we have this cooking for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what we want to do now is we're going to add our bacon. And again, we don't want to get this crispy. And this is what adds the real flavor to our sausage rolls. Once we get it till we rendered some of the fat out of the bacon, like I said, we're not trying to actually cook this bacon through because it's going to be added to everything else. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take this off the heat, we're going to set it to the side and let it cool down a little bit because we want to continue on with our ground pork and get everything mixed up, and then we're going to add that to this. So we'll get this shut off, we'll get this cleaned up, and we'll get our pork ready. Okay, now we have everything done, we have everything cleaned up. Now what I do is I took a pound of ground pork. Now this is not ground sausage, this is just regular ground pork. And I just have a pound of that. And to that I'm gonna add my panko breadcrumbs. And we're gonna take the rest of our ingredients, which we have thyme, black pepper, we have some salt, and we have some sage. And we took the mixture that we had before, we let this cool down a little bit. We're just gonna add that right in. Now, you're going to want to mix this by hand. I know that's the fun part, but you're going to want to mix this by hand and get this all nice and incorporated. You want this all mixed up. Because what we want to do, and that's why we wanted to render some of that fat out of that bacon, because we don't want this to be dry. We want this to be nice and moist when we roll this out. And you want to mix this with your hand because you want to make sure you get everything mixed up together. Once we get it to this, what we want to do now is we're going to set this aside and we're going to get our dough out, which we're using a puff pastry dough, and we're going to roll that out and get that ready, and we're going to prepare it for this pork. Okay, now what we did, we set our pork to the side, and I put down a piece of parchment paper. You can flour your table if you want. I just find it a little bit easier with this. And all this is this is just normal pre-made puff pastry dough, and it just comes folded up like that. You can make your own if you want, but just for right now, for what we're doing, we want this to be a simple, easy recipe. We just get the pre-made, we lay it out, and all we're gonna do is we wanna take it and you wanna cut this about in half. And we're just gonna run our knife right down along the center. And the reason we're doing this is because we wanna make two out of this. That's all you wanna do. We just wanna gently cut that in half and just make sure that we separate it. Because we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna make two out of this, and we just wanna make sure they're not too close together. And that's all we have to do. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our pork mixture that we have. I'm just gonna turn this a little bit this way so maybe we can get a little bit better. And what we wanna do is we're gonna take about a third of this, and we're gonna make a nice long strip right in the center of this, and we're gonna roll this up. We're not gonna put anything on this right now. We're just gonna take a third of it. This is normally the time I would tell you to preheat your oven, but before we do that, I'd like to take the time to ask you to like and share this video, support our channel, share it with your friends, and just leave a comment. But what you wanna do now is you wanna preheat your oven to 350 degrees so we get it nice and hot. So we're gonna take about a third of this, and we're gonna make sure that we get this nice and tight when we do this. And all we wanna do is we wanna just roll this out. And the reason that we're doing this is because this is gonna be the center of our sausage roll. So we're just gonna gently push this out till we get it all to where we want it. And once we get it to that, like I said, you can make these any way you want when it comes to the filling. But now, while we have it like this, what we wanna do is we're gonna take an egg, and we're just gonna beat up one egg. And all we're doing with this egg is we just wanna seal the edges of this roll. So we're just gonna beat this up. And we're just gonna take a little bit of egg wash and just run it right along the side here. Because all we wanna do is when we roll this together, we wanna make sure that these edges seal. Because then we're gonna end up trimming them off anyway, but we just wanna make sure they trim up and they seal nice and easy for us. You don't have to go all the way around. I just do it because I like to make sure that when I'm done, I know I got a good seal. Okay, and all we're gonna do, we're gonna take this edge over, and we're just gonna roll it right towards the other edge. That's all we're gonna do. And we're gonna lay it sealed side down. And now these extra edges that you have here, we're gonna press them down so they're sealed, and we know they're sealed. We're gonna take our knife, we're gonna cut this edge off. We're just gonna roll this a couple times to make sure that we get a nice seal. We want them round. And we're gonna take our tray that we have and move this to the side a little bit. We're just gonna take our tray and we're gonna find where we put our seal, and we're just gonna lay it right like that, right on our parchment paper. And that's all we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a knife, and we're not gonna go all the way through. We don't wanna go all the way through the dough. We just wanna score just a hair, just like that. That's all we wanna do. So we'll finish up the other ones, and we'll get them done just like that. Once we have these rolled up, what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna take our egg wash that we have, and we're just gonna brush these with egg. Now, you can do this one of two ways. Actually, one of three ways if you want to. You can leave them like this and cook them right the way they are and cut them once they're done. Or you can cut these now, if you want, in half or in 4 equal parts, depending on what you want to do. I like to keep mine together because I don't want everything to just run out of them when they're cooking. But what we're going to do now that we have these done, we're going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes. And you just want to watch them because if you have to turn them, we want these nice golden brown. So we're going to get these oven about 30-35 minutes, and we'll see you as soon as they're done. We are back. Now for us, it's been about 40 minutes, and your time of baking is going to depend on how big you make these. You can make them as big or small as you want, but just remember, you want a nice golden brown. You can even use a thermometer if you want. But now that we've had ours done for about 40 minutes, we let it cool down just a little bit. And all we have to do now is we're just going to cut right into it. And if you listen, they're nice and crunchy. And we're just gonna roll them open like that. And as you can see, it's flaky. Everything's nice and done inside. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if I can cut a piece of this off. Maybe I can taste it this way. I'm gonna make a mess out of it now, though. We'll take it this way. It's still hot. The bacon gives it a special taste. It doesn't dry out, keeps it nice and moist. You can taste the onion in it. And what would really go good with this is you can get yourself some sauce. You can use this either as a dipping sauce or you can actually put it on top, whatever you want to do. Now I'm just using a regular pizza sauce, so you can make your own. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I will see you again next week.